Hi, everybody. This is Alex Fensky, the lead agent for the Chicago Southland Homes team at Keller Williams Elite. And I'm here on September 1st, 2022, bringing you the September market update. We're going to talk about housing data and what it means for you for the Northeastern Illinois housing market, so the greater Chicagoland metro area. We're going to talk about some of the market data and then what it is that you might want to do about it. But remember to always just send us a message or contact us via text, email, social media, so that we can help you with your specific scenario. Um, do not listen to the national news media. They are telling you things that are probably true in some markets that are not true in ours. So please do not take advice from national news media outlets. There's no such thing as a national real estate market. It's so local. Even the numbers that I'm going to give you, which are for all of northeastern Illinois, there's areas all over the place that are higher, lower, this direction, that direction from the numbers that I'm going to talk about, because real estate is a hyper local business. As many of you know, especially if you're familiar with, for example, the city of Chicago, sometimes you cross just one street and the market's different. So you have to get specific advice for a specific scenario. Don't just take broad generalizations for it. I'm going to give you With that, I'm going to give you a bunch of broad generalizations. How about that? Number one, market time. I always want to talk about market time, the number of days it takes to get a contract. And typically from July to August, that usually goes up by 1 to 4 days. It takes a few days longer to sell a home in August compared to July. That makes sense with seasonality. And in July to August of this year, median market days on market rose by 1 day from 8 to 9. So the median is now 9 days on market. It's the second lowest August on record compared to August of last year. That's the only one that was lower, and it was just 1 day lower. And it basically is half of what it was before COVID. August was typically 18 or 19 days to contract prior to COVID. So market time is still looking pretty strong and following typical seasonal patterns. Showings per listing held steady from July to August, no change there. Definitely continuing the pattern of all of the quantity metrics, the numbers of things happening going down. New listings are down by 23% compared to last August. And they're down compared to basically every August for the last 11 years. There haven't been this few new listings in any August since 2011. At that point, the market was still declining during the Great Recession. So it's been a long time since we've had this few new listings. Buyer activity, we measure that by pending contracts, and that's down 17% compared to last year. So it's down, but not as much as new listings were down. So that actually brings pending contracts back into line with pre-COVID numbers as well. They were softer in July. Demand was down for whatever reason, a little bit more in July. August, it was stronger. I have a guess as to why, and we'll touch on that in a minute. Closed sales were down quite a bit. 28% fewer closed sales in August compared to August of last year. That's because your July contracts were down. It was the fewest closed sales in any August since 2012. So the number of things happening has gone down, but the nature and the balance of the market between buyers and sellers really hasn't changed. So I don't want you to hear this and say, oh my gosh, it's a bad market. First of all, whether it's a good or a bad market depends on who you ask, whether you're a seller or a buyer. But also, there are certain things here that really aren't changing or softening at all. Take, for example, inventory. You're seeing articles about housing inventory is surging and all this crazy stuff. In our marketplace, there were 21% fewer homes for sale this August compared to last August. 21% fewer homes for sale. And it was by far the lowest August on record. There has never been an August in our numbers that we measure in our market area with fewer homes for sale. So inventory is not surging, period. It's a fact. In fact, prior to February 21, so going back about a year and a half, inventory this low hadn't been seen even in the lowest inventory months of the year, like December and January. It was never this low. So inventory is not surging. In fact, it's quite low. It's lower than it was even last year. Months of supply, the metric that we use to measure how many buyers there are compared to how many sellers there are. It's a market balance metric. It actually went down, meaning the balance shifted a little bit more towards sellers in the month of August. We're at 1.9 months of housing supply. It's the lowest of any August on record, and it is still definitively a seller's market, though it's different than it was when there was less than 1 month of supply. But it's still only 1.9 months of supply. For reference, 6 months of supply as a balanced market. We've got a ways to go. Prices are still rising. 12-month rolling average hit a new record high, another one, consecutive record high of 289.9, which is up 5.4% compared to a year ago. So 5.4% is your annualized housing price appreciation number. Again, this is for all housing types throughout all areas in northeastern Illinois. Your area may be different. It could be higher or lower or the same. Mortgage rates. Now, I think this is what maybe affected contracts in August, is that mortgage rates 30 days ago on August 1st, the average 30-year fixed was at 5.05%. Basically 5% even would be your rate on a 30-year fixed rate mortgage on August 1st. Now today, September 1st, it's at 5.99. So I'm wondering if maybe a lot of people went and wrote contracts because rates were going up and you just needed to lock something. I'm not sure. But that was actually the highest today. Today is the highest that mortgage rates have been since they peaked around the second half of June, at which point they were a little bit higher even than they are today. FHA and VA loans are a little bit lower. Those have been trending lower. They're at about 5.33% on average. Just remember that mortgage rates will continue to be volatile. Every piece of news you hear out there about inflation, recession, all that stuff, the stock market, this is all going to affect mortgage interest rates. And in general, bad news for the economy means mortgage rates will go down. So if you start hearing a lot of talk about it's a recession and it's blah, 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 rates will go down. So it's kind of, feels like it's bad to celebrate that, but if you're in the middle of buying a home, that can be good for you. So what's the summary of all this? What does all this mean for you? As I mentioned before, there is not surging inventory. It is not a buyer's market. Those things are not even close to being true. And that is based on fact, and that is based on the northeastern Illinois residential housing market. Sellers do still have the upper hand, but sellers can no longer be lazy or overly optimistic about pricing. There was a time over the last 2 years where you could say, hey, my neighbor's house is the same model, same condition, right next door, and it sold 3 months ago for $280. Let's price ours at $320, and you'd sell it. You can't do that anymore. Prices are not up 20% compared to last year anymore. They're up 5%. So now that neighbor's home sold for $280 3 months ago, and now we can price it at $290. So if you're pricing it at the way that we have been doing it prior, where you go, oh, let's price it at $320, you're going to say it feels like a buyer's market because we're not getting enough showings and we're not getting offers, and oh my gosh, this is wild. Well, if you priced it according to what the market is doing, you would feel like, oh yeah, it is still a seller's market, because you would have a lot of showings and you would have multiple offers. So you still have the upper hand as a seller, but you can't be lazy on pricing anymore. And we'll help you with that. And then lastly, buyers should remember, just as I just said, prices are still rising modestly. So it's not going to cost you a ton more to own a home in the near future, but it will cost you a little more. And as far as the interest rates go, here's the saying that we keep telling you to live by: marry the house, date the rate. You get the house now, you can't rewind time and get a house for a lower price. Once the prices keep going up for a few more months or a year, however long you're thinking of waiting, you can't rewind the clock and get a lower price on the home. But if you buy a home today at 5.99% interest rate, and a month from now rates are down 1%, you can refinance. It'll cost you a few bucks, but you'll win in the long run. So it's okay to marry the house and date the rate. You can always refinance. We have some great options for that. But always continue to remember, buyers, that as has been the case for, honest to God, about 10 years, it's going to cost you more to buy a home tomorrow than it will today. Email me, Alex at Chicago Southland Homes. Send us a message on whatever platform you're watching this. Let me know what questions you have. Comment below. Tell us what you think of the video or what you want to see in these market updates in the future. And we love helping you out, so let us know what we can do. Thanks a lot.